What would you do if you could go to a place where gaming was appreciated for the awe-inspiring experience it is? Where up-and-coming games were yours for the trying? Where you could feel the electricity in the air? If you're anything like Brad Lynch and Christopher Gordon, you'd know exactly what to do. Play till your thumbs bleed. Brad and Christopher are two PlayStation Underground members who happen to live near Atlanta, the site for this year's E3, the world's largest gaming show. E3, also known as the Electronic Entertainment Expo, annually brings together top interactive companies. In fact, over 400 exhibitors from around the world participated in E3 this year. Excitement was contagious there, and at the center of it all was the PlayStation. Our display was the size of a football field and allowed 220 people to experience upcoming PlayStation games at the same time. We weren't just content to be one of the largest exhibits there, we had to be the best. So we did whatever it took, even putting showcases off the ground to pack more into our space. Of course, the PlayStation Underground made an appearance too. With such a great setup, we had to share it. So we decided to invite Brad and Christopher along for some fun and gaming. Naturally, however, they weren't the only ones at the show who were playing. All in all, the two found the show not a difficult experience to take. Thanks for playing, guys. Ever wonder what video gaming is like in Japan? The PlayStation Underground flew over to Tokyo to attend Japan's premier video game show and to check out the gaming atmosphere in the land of the rising sun. Unlike at E3, America's video game expo, the Japanese public is allowed in for one day to get a first look at all the upcoming games. As the excitement built up, so did the crowd, which wrapped all the way around the convention center to the other side of the nearby freeway. Quite a turnout. When the doors open, the rush for the games is on. The Tokyo Game Show is like E3, but only about half its size. However, nearly all of the major video game manufacturers are represented. As we made our way through the show, we could tell which games were the potential hits by the lines forming in front of the kiosks. And of course, the game companies go out of their way to capture a visitor's attention. After the show, we decided to do a little game shopping and check out gamers in their natural habitat. In Tokyo, there is no better place to do that than in the Akihabara district, a 1 square mile shopping area that is to consumer electronics in Japan what Rodeo Drive is to fashion in Beverly Hills. You can get a game fix right on the street. Our conclusion, here at the center of the PlayStation universe, almost everyone is a player. And in Japan, like everywhere else, the #1 system in gamers' hearts and minds is PlayStation.
This is a really cool controller. It really has a lot of flexibility in the sense that, as in previous games you've created, they supported digital. What we have with the analog is you're able to now fluidly control your game in many different ways. We're starting off in digital mode, and as you see, I'm accelerating, and every bit of turning, I'm actually hitting my directional button. And then when I brake suddenly. As I start in analog, I have a finer control of my driving. As you can see, I can slow down gradually, as well as accelerate at a quicker speed. If I brake, I can gradually press on my brakes and slow down. What we have first is your digital mode is indicated without a light being shown. And right now it supports your standard controller that exists today. If we put it into the analog mode, indicated by the red light, we now support these features. And we can control the game itself by moving the joysticks. What happens is the developers may have the option to use these as optional features, such as maybe the car honking or looking in reverse.
So here at Activision, we're really stoked to be able to use the analog controller, especially for Apocalypse in particular. Our game involves 360 degrees of movement and firing. So with the D-pad, you can hit, pretty much anything you need. But with the analog controller, if you want to hit 22.5 degrees to shoot the guy in the corner room that's trying to take you out, all you have to do is put the controller at 22.5 degrees and you got him. And I really don't think anything can offer more control than that.
So here at Fox, we're working on this new game called Croc, Legend of the Gobos, which features this lovable crocodile who lives in this full 3D world. The Sony analog pad makes a whole new experience compared to a digital system where you have to rotate and move forward and rotate and move forward. But once we switch in the analog system, you're just moving really fluidly.
In Crash Bandicoot 2, we're using all of the analog joystick capabilities. If you want to walk slowly, you just push the joystick a little bit. Basically, you just point it in the direction you want to move, whether you're walking or riding a jetpack. I'm really excited to be able to bring this to PlayStation owners throughout the world. What they'll find is that the PlayStation is just as capable of doing free-roaming, dynamic 3D games as any other hardware system.
At Shiny, we've been waiting for years for a new input device to be made. But Sony, by making this dual analog controller, have really made a huge difference to the feel of the games. Last month on Underground, I was playing Porsche Challenge. I played it using my normal joypad at home, and then Sony sent me one of these in the mail, so I plugged it in, and my first go, I got like 5 or 6 times farther in the game on my first try. And it was simply because you can set the angle of the wheels of the car, just like you're driving a real car, by the pitch of the little sticks here.
The analog controller allows you, the player, the ability to have finer control in your game, not just on and off, but all the points in between.
Yeah, what I'm really excited about is that we can do this on Sony. We don't have to go do it on Nintendo, but I probably shouldn't say that.
Like your typical sound engineer, started out in bands in high school and recording, basically, and was more interested in what was going on the other side of the glass, so to speak. So I went to Berklee College of Music and studied audio engineering, and then headed out to Hollywood and basically paid my dues in the recording studios, getting coffee and running errands. I started out doing some consulting for some video game companies. And then the opportunity here at Sony presented itself to build a recording studio, to build this facility, to do what I needed to do. A big part of my job here is sound evangelist, to go around to the producers and be involved from the beginning of the project. They're realizing how important a piece of the puzzle sound is and talk to them about, what are their goals for this project? What would they like it to sound like? We go over a style guide, what movie soundtracks, what albums do they really like, and I take that information back and look it over and go through it and then get as close as I possibly can. Now I've got a few people that help me out. There's not enough hours in the day. I've got a guy named Nate Brenholt, who is an amazing sound designer. He can do amazing things with an oscillator. He can usually be found in his office doing a typical laser blast, gunshots, footsteps, explosions, except his are always a little bit huger, a little bit bigger than everyone else's. Chuck Dowd is on staff, and he is primarily a composer. He's doing the score for a game we're doing right now called Blasto. His bag, if you will, is what a lot of the producers in-house want on their games. We have a interactive audio engine here. We call it an adaptive MIDI engine. Chuck is composing the music for Blasto in such a way that it requires him to actually program the musical score to interact with gameplay. So as you approach specific sections of a map, are attacked by some number of enemies, the musical score will actually adapt to that situation, get more exciting, get more intense, get darker. If you're just roaming around exploring, it'll get much more moody and just ethereal. And to the point where if you roam around long enough, the music will actually stop for a while. which is actually even more dramatic because then when you come around a corner and there's an enemy, you'll get this explosive music will enter back in. Just knock you right off your seat, so it works really well. Yeah, that requires Chuck to actually program the musical score. He has to really think about not only the typical issues you have to think about when you're composing musical motifs, but he has to think about each gameplay situation that may arise. It's amazing how it affects gameplay, how it really just punctuates the emotion. The goal is really to just have the person play the game and go, wow, that was an amazing experience. They might not even be able to put their finger on why it was so much better than the last game they had in their PlayStation. It's just going to be one of those subliminal elements that just, heightens the experience. And it just shows the potential that the PlayStation has for sound generation. I think when people get this game, they're going to hear the thing perform like they haven't heard it perform before.
I'd help you up, but I don't have a spatula with me. Grab a mop, there's gonna be guts on the ceiling. Yikes! Ow!
He's basically a parody of 1930s superheroes, Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, that kind of thing, but also with an element of the cartoon side. We just wanted this superhero who was very overconfident and believed in himself so much it was ridiculous.
Oh, I'm good.
I guess if you were to take, say, Duck Dodgers, Powdered Toast Man, and Dirty Harry and throw them into a blender, you'd come out with Liquid Blasto. He's a cosmic custodian and these aliens are tracking up his floor. I guess that's how you could put it.
Hot damn, I'm good.
When we heard Phil Hartman was going to be the voice for Captain Blasto, it was a big relief for all of us because he was pretty much our first choice.
I'm so good.
When we first started developing the character, we'd come up with voices and constantly mimic Blasto, how we wanted him to sound. And all of us would say, like Phil Hartman.
Hot damn, I'm good. I'm back, but this time I brought a friend with me. Let me introduce you to Mr. Fission Blaster.
The game basically takes place in a future world where Captain Blasto is protector of Earth and the galaxy, or at least self-proclaimed protector of the Earth and galaxy. He's warned that Bosk, his nemesis, is up to his old tricks again, plotting to take over the Earth, or at least destroy it, and to go and put a stop to it.
If this doesn't kill you, I'm yours on a sesame bun. Ouch, I'd say mankind is up crap creek without a spooge hammer, and now I've got to clean it up.
You look at our game, and it looks like a cartoon. It's like a 3D cartoon, and I don't think there's been the quality animation in a game yet.
We decided to have the levels work seamlessly with one another because video games that had been done before are always very linear and level-based. We didn't want to do that. We wanted it to be that, he would walk seamlessly from level to level to level and be able to go back.
Ooh, now that's gotta hurt. Does a Terrian bat fart propane?
Blasto in his initial stage, I don't even think he was human at that point. I was playing around with some different characters, some anamorphic characters. I wanted some sort of a space hero that would be fun, something that maybe had the feel of, say, Duck Dodgers.
Better have a doctor take a look at that one.
Because I really, really love that stuff. But then eventually tried to work it into more of a humanoid type character.
Damn, got you all over my shoe.
We felt that the personality in the character could really add a lot to a game that we were wanting to do, which was this 3D roaming free environment. So the three of us, pushed around a few ideas with this personality.
I'll take that as a no. I'll take that as a no.
The main challenge of portraying the artist's vision on the screen was the cartoon sense of the world he wanted to create. And that means no visible polygons, make it look like a cartoon. The technical innovations in Blasto are generally to do with the 3D performance of the game. We've developed a good system for streaming the levels from CD constantly on the fly. There's no loading time involved.
Uranus is littered with extra crispy bad guys. You might want to send somebody up there to hose the planet down. Either that or have a bake sale.